Welcome back. It's Daybreak on Trust TV, and it's customary. I have a copy of the Daily Trust with me, and of course, it's the newspaper review segment. The lead story on the Daily Trust reads: Hardship. Youths attack trucks, steal food items in Niger. Police stop protest against hunger in Jigawa. Dikwa residents threaten to join insurgents. Nigerians interested in practical solutions, not theories. To other stories there atop the page, we see FG bans cooking gas export to stabilize price. Our story is on page 20. And also Forex, government urged to harness foreign remittances, informal markets. Media Trust appoints Guadabe deputy editor-in-chief. And also on the belt, we see ECOWAS may lift sanctions on Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso tomorrow. Sorry, on page 8. And at the bottom of the page, Senate rejects 65-year retirement age bill for National Assembly workers. BUK showers encomiums as Professor Yadudu retires. And Daily Trust Foundation trains 22 Northwest journalists in advanced data journalism. These are some of the stories on the Daily Trust. And quickly to The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper. The Guardian reads as its lead story, 15 years of insurgency. Tales of woe for survivors, joy for repentant terrorists. There's a pictorial there which shows a breakdown there of the total number of IDPs at 3.6 million out of 2.65 million IDPs in the Northeast. 452,219 are households. There's a couple of other numbers there as the data is from IOM Nigeria displacement report and also the Defense Ministry. However, other stories on The Guardian reads furor over Tinubu's 30 billion naira to governors. Also, Senate reps pass Southeast Development Commission bill. And also, 3 months after, military yet to release panel report on error drone. Fresh worries for Naira as FARC shares 1.149 trillion naira to federal government, states, and local governments. And stories on page 6. Besides that, we see PDP factions produce Shaibu Igodalo for Edo Goba poll. And underneath the story, hardship. Sonwolu announces 25% slash in fares. Other palliatives. On the belt, take steps to avert planned protest. Afenifere tells Tinubu, Labour, and others. And then we go to the Punch newspaper. Now atop the page reads Tinubu appoints new AMCON CEO. Agencies get 13 directors. Our story is on page 25. Also, Edo Igodalo emerges PDP candidates. Shaibu wins parallel primary. And for the lead story, palliative palaver. Governors tackle Akpabio, deny receiving federal government 1 trillion naira lifeline. NGF says 1 trillion naira windfall untrue. Lagos, Osun, Benue, Katsina, Zamfara deny receiving 30 billion naira each. Food truck looted in Niger. Police warn against Ekiti rally. Lagos, Ogun rollout relief. Also, military, police, NEMA conduct search rescue drill in rivers. We also see federal government plans cooking gas export ban to crash price. Also, Ibadan Disco disconnects UCH over 500 million naira debt. That story is on page 10. And finally, on the Punch, manufacturing, others suffer as GDP slows to 3-year low. Our story is on page 23. And to the Vanguard newspaper, we see hardship. We're working to tackle economic challenges. CBN begs Nigerians. And on insecurity, Catholic Bishop okays State Police. That story is on page 2. Edo Guba, Igodalo wins PDP ticket with 500 477 votes. Promises to lead Edo on path of prosperity. Gunshots as Shaibu emerges candidate in parallel primary. Abure released after 12 hours in police custody. And also see other stories there. Cameroon can't stop us from Paris Olympic, according to Falcons forward Onumono. And also, CDS warns against calls for coup over economic hardship. Our story is on page 9. FG bans cooking gas export to crash price. On page 2. Promoter Leno Adesanya writes Tinubu over Mambila project. And for the lead story, how Nigeria can overcome insecurity. Retired generals, DIG, and security experts speak. There's need for teamwork among government, security agencies, and citizens. Blame corruption for worsening insecurity. Call for state police investment in intelligence gathering. Train, equip, pay officers, other security agents well. Track down political leaders backing criminals. Well, these are some of the stories on the Guardian newspaper. And for leadership on Friday, atop the page says, use Naira as only legal currency in Nigeria. And that's according to Senator Ned Nwoko. NAFEM, Forex inflow rises by 11.7% as Naira weakens to 1,571 Naira to the dollar. That's what is on page 4. And for the lead story, hardship, protesters loot truckloads of foodstuff in Niger. Go beyond promises, supporters tell president. Customs begins sale of seized rice, other items. Also, National Economic Council targets price relief. And also on the leadership, Edo 2024, Ighodalo emerges PDP candidates as Shaibu claims victory. And finally, leadership award, call to better service. And that's according to the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo. And for this day newspaper, the lead story there says Nigeria's economic reset scores see new opportunities amid pain. This day, editors review impact of devaluation on Africa's largest market, presents 5 ideas for a new Nigeria. And of course, this is part 1 of the story. On top of the page, we see economic hardship. Sanwo-Olu intervenes, reduces working days for civil servants. 25% transport rebate returns. 100,000 trailers of rice for 300,000 residents. 31 hospitals to deliver pregnant women for free. And also, Naira surges to 1,700 Naira to the dollar at parallel market on clampdown on crypto platforms. Tinubu, no going back on economic reforms until vision for nation is achieved. Recommits to creating investment opportunities, tackling poverty. Crackdown on BDCs, not solutions, says Rewane. These are some of the stories on this day newspaper. And finally, on the Nation newspaper, the lead story there says, President knocks PERMSEC for slowing down governance. Tinubu demands monthly key performance indicators. No to unacceptable delays. Also, Lagos, Ogun Customs unveil food, other palliatives. And at the top of the page, we see Ighodalo wins Edo ticket, of course, as is replicated in other newspapers. And still the story on cooking gas export as price, continue to rise. The federal government is looking to ban export of cooking gas to crash down the price. And beside that, FACTS monthly cash hits 2.07 trillion, 1.15 trillion shared, 919 billion naira saved. And on the belt, we see military warns coup advocates, and that story on page 3, and Igboho back after 3-year self-exile. That story is on page 2. And finally, on the belt below, police begin joint patrol on Lagos-Ibadan Road. That story is on page 5. Makinde attacks Akpabio. Page 3, that story. And these are some of the stories on the Nation newspaper. And of course, we're being joined now by the editor of 21st Century Chronicle, other person than Madam Nuruddin Abdullah. He joins us to review the paper this morning. Welcome, Madam Nuruddin. So,
good morning, Mr. Sagiro.
Yes, the Daily Trust newspaper starts with this story, and of course, quite a number of other stories. Other papers replicated this headline: Youths attack trucks, steal food items in Niger. Police stop protest against hunger in Jigawa. If the directors would just help us pull up a copy of the Daily Trust. Nigerians interested in practical solutions, not theories. Has it gotten this bad?
Yes, and if you remember, I think we discussed it here, particularly when the governor of Niger State announced ban of big-time commodity dealers from buying grains from the markets in the entire Niger State. You remember, I said Niger is one of the gateway states to the south. These trucks with all manner of products, particularly the food items, cattle, goats, grain, perishable goods, move from the north to the south, and they pass through Niger. You understand? I said, okay, with this government's proclamation, what do you think will happen? With hunger and anger in the land. And we saw it yesterday. When Governor Bago made that announcement, we saw it as a recipe for chaos and anarchy. This was even Abuja-Kaduna highway. Yes, the youths are, newspapers call them, some call them hoodlums and what have you. Whatever nomenclature you give them. You understand? So what was the justification? Okay, they are coming tonight, they came to Niger and packed our food. As the governor is the chief security officer. So he should be conscious of his pronouncements, particularly in relation to security. Even in Kano, totem pole of power, so don't appreciate that yet. These people have done it. Thankfully, there was military presence, so they are dispersed. Should this thing happen inside Lambata, Kagara, or any other federal road that leads to the south, with almost zero security presence, what do you think will happen? So it's really serious. It is unfortunate that people are now resorting to self-help. It's sad and bad. The government at all levels, the presidency, the governors, or whatever, they should read the situation carefully and politically. There is hunger and anger in the land. People just need a small trigger. We hope they will do the needful.
We really do hope so, Malam Nuruddin, because two questions wrapped into one. First of all, the federal government and states as well as local government for January at the FAC meeting shared around 2 trillion. Okay, so 1.1 trillion was shared and around 990 billion was saved. But then again, talking about the food crisis, Federal government didn't give states 30 billion naira each. This story is on the Nigerian Tribune. Of course, it leads the Tribune and as well many other papers. This is Makinde replying to the Senate president. So what's this about this controversy around 30 billion naira and the federal government calling on state governors to refund its initial 2 billion naira palliatives given to the states initially?
I don't know why the Senate president is, he's in love with controversy.
Why would you say that?
Yes, of course. Why is he defending the executive? Are they short of spokespersons? No. If at all the governors have squandered 30 billion each, 30 billion multiplied by 36, the National Assembly has oversight. Call the Minister of Finance, call the Accountant General. Was the money appropriated or not? That is the question we should ask. If Senator Akpabio is saying that, okay, the CB and the Minister of Finance, the Accountant General, channels unappropriated funds to the state government, it's a criminal offense. Impeachable offense for that matter. Because every dime to be spent by the federal government must be appropriated by the National Assembly. That is one. And secondly, look at when they did this palliative, we said it here. It was a cosmetic approach to the issue. The real issue has not been touched. To add salt to injury, last week, when the president met with the 36 state governors, the federal government reiterated its concern that there won't be food imports. That is political kamikaze. That's suicidal. Yes, they should open our silos and dish out. How many tons of grain do we have in the federal government silos? I don't know if the situation has changed in the last 1 or 2 years. All the federal government built silos across the countries. We are leased out.
But I think the Ministry of Agriculture had stated sometime in 2022 that it had around 60,000 tons as total capacity of the National Grain Reserve.
60,000. You're talking about the capacity?
Yes, indeed.
So how many tons do we have of actual grain?
I actually don't know the exact figure.
So that is it. It's a they are moving towards you close the border. Thank God you are saying that now they will open the
lift sanctions.
It is you can lock your border. You wouldn't shoot the Buharinomics. You don't have food to eat in the house and you lock your door.
But then again, this is not a decision by just President Bola Tinubu. Of course, it's a decision that has to be taken by the head of state and governments of the ECOWAS.
Which of the countries in ECOWAS is having the same issues that Nigeria is having? Okay, if ECOWAS says you should take a gun, point it at your head, and trigger you follow. No. And look at it now. The first thing you did were taking military to Niger, and now you are lifting the sanctions. They have won.
All right, then, if you just hold your thoughts, Madam Nuruddin, we'll be going on a quick break, and when we return, the newspaper review continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review segment of Daybreak, and of course, I have in the studio with me Mr. Nuruddin Abdullah, the editor at 21st Century Chronicle. Mr. Nuruddin, while we were talking earlier, I saw a story around issues around the economy and, of course, the impact it has had on Nigerian states have started taking some measures. For example, the Lagos state government has announced that for workers, civil servants from level 1 to level 14, they would have just 3 working days in a week, while for level 15, 1 extra day will be taken off. Also, we are seeing that the federal government is planning to ban the exportation of cooking gas with the hope that it would finally crash the price. What are your take? What are your perspectives on these moves?
Okay. for the measures being adopted by some of the states, maybe temporarily. I hope they are temporary measures.
Oh, I hope they are too, because I saw a 25% rebate on transportation too for Lagos State.
So, Lagos seems to be serious in taking, to be fair to
you use the word serious. What about the other state governments?
No, some are absolutely not serious.
Why would you say that?
I don't need to mention names. Some have been elected governors without even knowing what to do.
They say some of them don't even stay in their states. They don't reside in their states.
Some are busy. They are competing. They are like TikTokers, sharing money while they're being
that's a new one. That's a new.
Yeah, I hope it is a temporary measure when the situation improves. Going further to the ban of the export of gas, we have forest crisis. You need to export.
I know where you are going to.
You need to export to get this
Forex.
Are we saying that because of the fuel problem we're having, that we should stop selling our crude? All our crude, the 1.3 or 1.7 million barrel per day that we do, should be channeled to the
local
EFCs in NNPC for local consumption. No. We need to export. Unlike Naira, you have to earn the dollar. You can print your Naira in the mint here, but you can't print the greenback. So that's the reality. All economic decisions must be well thought out. President Tinubu should have an economic council.
A robust
He should, populated with experts, different backgrounds, and that council should reflect the demography and the federal character. We don't just need Lagos economists, no. I think it's high time we should have that. It will help Cardoso, CBN. It will help Chibole Edun.
Okay.
You understand? So that you get it from all parts of the country. Decisions must be well thought out. Let's measure it. Is this a temporary ban? How can this actually affect the price of the cooking gas? How is it going to affect our forest liquidity? We need to export to get dollar.
Well, it's good you are saying this, because earlier in my conversation with Mukhtar Mohammed, a financial analyst who joined the Daybreak during the discussion segment, he actually alluded to the fact that the government and the CBN might be going on a wild goose chase. You're trying to stabilize the Naira, and then you're going after the same market forces who are supposed to, work on stabilizing.
Yes, that is it.
So do you share the same perspective?
Of course.
What would you advise
I'm not an economist.
What would you advise the government to do?
I'm not an economist, but at least in economic reporting, I know the financial sector a bit. It doesn't make sense. They should think outside the box. Don't rely solely on the expert you have on CBN, the government appointees. Expand it. Even President Buhari did that, even though he wasn't meeting them. We have a lot of experts that can help. But I don't know. President Tinubu doesn't have an economic council, advisory council. He equally doesn't have a foreign relations council. And that is why we have this horrible situation in Niger. We use our, what do they call it? Is it the joker in the first instance? You understand? And look at it now. You guys are saying that they are going to lift the sanctions. There will be celebration in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. Yes.
So in all of this now, who wins?
Mali, Burkina, Niger win.
But what about Nigeria and then the border communities?
Lost because of poor deployment of strategy.
What should the government have done? What should the
sanctions? Do you understand? They are level by level. Stage 1, you won verbally. Stage 2, you threaten them with sanctions. Stage 3, you apply the sanctions. Bit by bit. The last option should be military option. But you threaten them with military option. Why your military is overstretched? Why you are cash strapped?
But they called it a standby force.
Where is it?
Probably standing by somewhere.
Where?
Well, I don't know.
In Sambisa?
It's probably part of it's probably part of their military strategy. They have the standby force standing by somewhere.
Who is going to fund it?
I don't know. Maybe you participated in the whole palliative.
That is it. So who is going to fund it?
Well,
is it Ghana?
Nigeria.
Benin?
Mostly.
The issue is simple. There is this peer review mechanism by the ECOWAS and EU. Look at what is happening in Senegal. Thankfully, President Macky Sall has seen wisdom. What Macky Sall was trying to do in the last couple of weeks was an open invitation to military coup d'etat. Now, if there is coup, then ECOWAS will say blah, 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 blah. No. ECOWAS should have a peer review mechanism. We have done it in Niger Republic during Tanja Mahmoud when he wanted a third time. You understand? And yes, there are sovereign nations, but when their presidents, are going towards the abyss, you have to call them to order. There's that ECOWAS peer review mechanism, EU peer review mechanism. But you allow it, then the military strike, and you start threatening them. Look at Niger. Niger, politically, a small fish compared to Nigeria. They have dared us.
And gotten away.
And got away with it. Because of what? Wrong application of strategy. President Tinubu should have an expert as a foreign advisor. There is what we call the Presidential Council on Foreign Relations. It used to be headed by a very senior retired ambassador or sub ambassador. All those, we don't have it now. These are key. Economy and your foreign relations. If you have a very robust and strategic foreign relations strategy, it will help your economic decisions and what you feel.
So not just the Minister of Finance and the CBN government.
They are your appointees.
But the Foreign Affairs Minister also has a lot of work.
The Foreign Affairs Minister is a politician. You need a bureaucrat. We are not short of them. Nigeria is not Lagos. You understand? So we have to start thinking out. If, for instance, now some people are saying that he was quick to be appointed as chairman of ECOWAS. Nothing wrong with that. But before that meeting, he should have his own meeting. Don't rely solely on your foreign minister, who is a politician. Yeah, he was an ambassador in Germany or something like that.
You have a special advisor, foreign affairs, and the like.
Meet them. It's a team. Let them give you. This is the situation in Niger. What do? They will advise. Before you go to ECOWAS and start making pronouncement. You made pronouncement and you are eating them now. You are licking your. There will be celebration in Niger. To say, I'm not saying that we are not patriotic, but they are more patriotic than most Nigerians. When we said that we are going to attack them, the gap, the differences between the Chinese group, that's the coupists, and the supporters of Bazoum was closed. Niger first. And that's why they launched an attack on social media on us and
I do believe there are quite a number of Nigerians who are also as patriotic as the Nigerians, but most importantly, for the sake of peace and way forward, we do hope that the entire debacle around the Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, is conclusively brought to an end for the sake of peace, not just in Nigeria and these countries, but the entire West African sub-region. And with that, I say, Madam Nuruddin Abdullah, the editor of 21st Century Chronicle, thank you so much for being a part of the newspaper review this morning and for also sharing your perspectives. And we do hope that when we call again next week, Friday, you'll be here again with us.
Thank you. When you gave me my palliative.
Well, the palliatives has been looted somewhere in Niger State.
Okay.
So
that's the excuse now.
That's a conversation we'll have to have, maybe behind the cameras. But for me, it's thank you so much to our viewers for staying with us from the beginning of the program at 8 a.m. till now. Do stick around for up next is 360 Sports with Emmanuel Fashmi. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sagir Ibrahim and have a lovely weekend.